Hi printmakers, I'm going to be showing you how to make a star book today. Star book is a really simple folded book, so as another option to your book project for this next week, you are welcome to do the folded zine, but if this book is more interesting to you, then you can make this instead. If you want to make both, you can make both, because they're both really quick and easy to make. Minimal materials here. So you need some kind of cardboard that's really rigid and thick. So this is actually the back of a drawing pad. This is the back of the sketch pad I got at Walmart actually. So it's just real thick cardboard. Don't use corrugated cardboard. The texture is wrong and it's just not as sturdy. You could probably laminate some like cereal box or other food box together so it's like double thickness, and that would be close to the right thickness, but I suggest the back of a drawing pad. It's really probably the best thickness that you want. Thin paper. This is again the paper that we used for the rubbings, for the frottage prints. You can use any kind of thin white paper. Just know that if you use the thinner paper that you use, the more likely it is for the glue to cause it to buckle if you're using Elmer's like I'm using. But really thick paper is too springy and actually can kind of cause your book to not want to stay closed. Like you can see that these stay closed pretty well. They're not like trying to spring open, but thicker paper is going to cause more bounce here and it's going to be harder to keep this closed. As you can see, this is a square, so you're going to be working with squares. The cover for this, for my demo, is a 2x2 inch square. And then the pages are a 4x4, so it's twice as big for the pages as it is for the cover. The pages are going to get folded up. You can do any size you want. I've had students do really tiny ones that were like less than an inch by an inch, and I've had people do like 3x3 inches. Just know that the larger your cover gets, the bigger your paper is going to get. So like a 5x5 inch book is a 10x10 inch piece of paper. So just plan ahead for that. But 2x2 inches is perfect, I think, for like a practice size. And then you can kind of decide whether you want to do one that's smaller or bigger. As far as tools, I've got a scalpel for doing my cutting. You can use a regular X-Acto knife or a craft knife. Scissors will work okay for cutting your paper, but definitely not going to work for cutting the board. You're going to need some kind of X-Acto craft knife, box cutter, or something like that. Just a regular pencil for marking your sizes. A ruler, of course, is helpful as well. And then I'm using a brush to apply my glue, rather than just using like a bottle. So that's going to enable me to get a really thin coat, which is going to be really, really important for this project. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you how to cover your cover boards. And I'm just going to use some wax paper here. And I have this piece of paper that I decorated for the other side of the cover. So you can see this one's already completed, but I need two. So I'm going to just brush on a really thin layer of glue on my cover on just one side. And thin is really important here, so don't glop on a bunch of glue. Less is more for this. If you have puddles of glue, one, it's going to take forever to dry, and two, it's going to cause your paper to buckle up. And I think everybody's been in that situation where you've put too much glue on and you know how bad it looks, so we don't want that. I'm going to put this face down in the middle of the back side of this paper, on my decorated paper. You can use some of your rubbings from your lino cut project, or some people have used scrapbooking paper. It's okay. It tends to crack a little bit. It's not really intended to be folded, so scrapbooking paper can sometimes cause problems, but you can try it. It works okay. So I just creased the edges here so that I have nice crisp folds kind of going around the edges of my paper, or the edges of my board here. And I'm gonna I'm gonna draw a line because I wanna cut the corners off here, but I don't wanna cut right up to the corner because if I do, then when I fold the excess over, I'm gonna have a gap, and I don't want a gap. So this will make more sense in a second, but I'm gonna just mark like maybe a 1/16 of an inch away from the corner. I'm not right up on it. And then I can take my knife and just cut along that line. If you're really OCD, you can use a ruler. I just don't find it super necessary for this stage, so I tend to skip it. And I'm going to do glue on one tab at a time, and I'm just going to fold it around, make sure it's nice and secure and it's flat and I don't have any glue bubbles. And then I can do the opposite side. Now here's where not cutting all the way to the corner is important. So if I cut all the way to the corner, I'm going to have a gap. So I'm going to see the corner of my cardboard, and I don't want that. So you can see it's not showing. But when I fold this over, you can see how that kind of sticks out on the sides here a little bit, and we don't want that either, so it looks kind of sloppy. So I'm just going to take my fingernail and tuck in a little bit of this paper on the corner so that when I fold it, I don't have cardboard showing, but I also don't have like a funny little extra piece sort of hanging off the end there. So channel your inner present wrapper. Those of you who like to wrap gifts at Christmas time are going to really, really like this project. And those of you who don't can practice. Okay, I'm tucking my corners in. Okay, and then I can fold that over. And that's pretty much it for the cover. That's all right. Okay, so both my covers are done. I'm just going to set those to the side. So your paper is a square as well, like I said. So you've got a 2x2 cover, a 4x4 square, and your square is going to get folded. So in a very specific way. So I'm going to start and just do a horizontal fold. And then I'm going to do another horizontal fold, going the other way. So I'm basically quartering my paper. But I want my folds to be going the same way. So mountain folds on one side and valley folds on the other side, if that makes sense. Some of you have done origami and you'll recognize those terms. I'm going to do one diagonal fold with this, the folds going the opposite. So if I have my horizontal and vertical folds going mountain on one side, then the diagonal should be going valley, okay? So you can see that. And then what you can do is if you just push in the middle, it should sort of encourage your paper to fold up into a square. It kind of looks a little bit like those fortune tellers that everybody liked to make when they were in middle school. I'll do that one more time so you can see, because it's a little tricky. So horizontal, fold it in half, horizontal fold in half again to sort of quarter your paper. And then I'm going to fold it diagonal, just one diagonal, not both diagonals. And then if you push in the middle, it should ideally sort of pop it so that it wants to make that fold. And that's all you're doing for the center, for the pages, that you're just going to fold each piece like that. You can do as many pages as you want. For each of my practice ones, I'm doing 5, but you can do a ton. You can make your book really thick if you wanted to. I'd do at least 3, because less than that, it starts to be kind of pointless. But 5 is a good number. I already glued these together so you can see basically you're alternating. So, you know, your each folded piece, you can see that I have one that the folds are pointing towards me, and then one where it's sort of pointing, the open side is facing away, and then one where it's facing towards me. So the next one's going to face away, and it's going to get glued like that. Again, really thin layer of glue is going to be super important. If you have too much glue, it's going to buckle, and with the pages, it's going to, oh man, it's going to want to stick your pages together maybe where you don't want it to stick together, which could be bad. So I'm just going to look at this. So I've got an open side here, so then I want to have that closed point to be the next stage here. I'm just going to try to line it up so that I don't have it going off wonky. You don't want your book to look like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Okay, and then I'm going to do my last one. I just like to brush outward from the center, you know, because then I can make sure that I'm hitting all of the edges so that I get a nice glue all the way around, but it's not going underneath the edges, because that's how you can end up gluing pages together when you don't want to. Okay, so if I have a closed point here, then I want to make sure that the next way is going to be an open, right? So I'm going to do this open side next. And you can test this as you go, you know, like glue it down and then open it up and see how it looks. And it should look like, I can get it open, it should look like this. So, you know, you should have an open side and then one closed side going away from you, and an open side and then closed side going away from you, and an open side. Should alternate back and forth. So once you're done with your pages and getting those glued together, then you can glue on your covers. I'm just going to do, again, a nice thin layer of glue. Center that. Okay. I can do one more. I usually like to just kind of hold it on its side and tap it so I can make sure that it's lined up as well as it can be. And then I recommend that you press this overnight. Just put a heavy book on it or a brick or something like that, and just let it wait overnight, because it tends to want to buckle a little bit if you don't. But that's pretty much it. So these are really quick and easy to make. You can draw on one side, you can draw on the other side something else. It's kind of cool if you do alternating papers. So you could have like a white sheet every other one, and then you could have like a print every other one. And that can make it kind of cool too. So there's lots of different ways that you can approach this and make it your own. But you can get a nice little library going of these pretty quickly. And they're fun and quick and easy, and yeah, so you can do that, or you can do the zine, or you can do both. Either way is fine. So have fun.